Hello, everybody, and welcome to an explosive episode of Bloody Good Horror. Kind of, or just like kind of a malaise-filled episode of Bloody Good Horror, depending on your outlook on the movie we watched tonight, which is Firestarter 2022. This is a remake of an adaptation of a Stephen King book, I'm told. We know my position on books, so it's been made clear here in the show. But I am aware of them, and so I know that that's a thing. Joining me tonight, this is definitely a first-time combination on the show. I'm pretty excited. We have a pretty deep bench here at BGH, and that's always a fun thing to dig into. Joining me tonight, first up, from the Zombie Girls. They're back, y'all. Please welcome Rachel and Ariel to the show.
Hi.
Both.
I feel like you could say we are the barbecue Chex-Mex of podcast
That's
cast
right.
tonight. We can fight over who gets to be the rye chip.
Absolutely. Next up from Richmond, Virginia, rocking the hairdo tonight. Please welcome Caitlin to the show.
Hello.
It's not fair to only give Schnars props for his hair.
Oh, when he's gone, I like to get the word, the hair, all the things.
Is that why this happened? I get it. And last up tonight, joining us, the editor-in-chief at bloodygoodhorror.com. Please welcome Mr. John Shelton to the show.
Oh, hey there, everybody.
Welcome. Yeah, we're doing Firestarter. Had no idea Zac Efron was in this movie. My only question this evening is, why does it look like he's wearing a mask of his own face? Like, what's happening there?
Glad it wasn't just me. I was like, did he get his lips
Like,
done?
have you ever seen those really realistic latex masks of people that are like very creepy? And that's what he looks like, and I can't figure out why.
He's got uncanny valley, Zac Efron.
Like, is it just that he has such a like boyish face, and we know him as this like young, and now he's just like a dude, and it's weird, or is there like something happening there?
He did look a little like particularly
Puffy?
full in the cheeks with like maybe some filler up there. He looks, I mean, he's a very good looking dude, but yeah, now that you said it, I can't unsee it.
How dare he not look perfect and perfectly attractive to me? I don't know what's wrong, but anyway.
I think it doesn't help that he didn't emote with his face like one time through the whole face is frozen.
Damn,
Shots
Ariel.
fired.
Yeah, I like it. Bringing some real Ariel energy to the show. I'm pretty into it. All right, well, let's do it. Let's take a quick break and discuss Firestarter.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time. Main feature.
Caitlin.
Eric.
I'm trying to catch up on this BGH text thread with Casey and John. What the whatever. I'll do it. I can't. It's too many texts. I have it muted. I'll just come back to my phone sometimes, and it's like, here's 25 texts, and I'm like, what the?
I needed some help with an Ask BGH tweet that we got, but we'll just unpack it live on here together.
That's great. Yeah, go for it. Caitlin, you also know words.
A few.
John does not have words locked down per se. Should we remind people where you went to college, since it's pertinent to this evening show?
I hate where I went to college. I went to UVA, but Richmond has my heart, so we'll forget that other part.
That's not a bad school, though. It's a good school, right?
It's a good school.
Bad
supposedly
people.
hard to get into, but I just like to shit on it.
Yeah. I only applied to 2 colleges, and I got into the one I didn't think I was going to get into, and my backup school rejected me. So here we are.
For some reason, that's like a very Eric thing to have.
It's an incredibly... Oh, there's more to that story that makes it even more Eric, but we're not going to get into it tonight. Caitlin, please bring us the word of the day.
Eric, the word of the day, which surprisingly hasn't been used yet, double-checked the spreadsheet, is pyrokinesis.
Oh.
Which is the purported psychic ability allowing a person to create and control fire with the mind. Pyre comes from Greek meaning fire, kinesis meaning movement, and on its very Wikipedia page says that it was popularized by horror novelist Stephen King in his 1980 novel Firestarter.
I love it.
Who knew?
There's lots of good fire words. Pyromancy, another good one.
I was thinking conflagration, because I was like, surely Schnars has used pyrokinesis. But
Didn't you guys go through a firebug phase like when you were a kid?
A little bit.
I nearly burned down my neighbor's house.
Oh,
no.
here we go. Go ahead,
Maybe
Shelton.
there's a gender divide here. I don't
Carry
know.
on.
I
No,
definitely
it
did
was
the
one of
using
those,
the
like-
magnifying glass to burn things
Mm.
a lot, you know.
Yeah, no, this was like a post 4th of July when you got the leftover bottle rockets.
Uh-huh.
And a friend of mine and I were shooting them out of my front yard. And there was one that went up and didn't pop and, came down. And we were just like, going on and doing it. And then glanced across the street and like the empty field next to my neighbor's house was ablaze.
Oh, shit.
Oh
And,
no.
yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
Shit.
And we were probably like 9 or 10.
Oh, God.
And what did we do? We kind of like ran out and like tried to pour water out. We got the hose from my neighbor's house and like sprayed it. And some dude like drove past in a truck and like got out and like was beating it with a shovel. And we finally got it out.
Oh, my goodness.
But yeah, it got within probably like 2 inches of his grass. And like, this was one of those guys who like mowed his grass like morning and night every single day.
So
like
it's
one of those
dry.
guys who was just like really into his yard. So yeah, disaster averted.
Real
Man,
Hank Hill.
Yeah.
I don't have a story that good. I just remember being around 10 or 11 and somehow getting my hands on a lighter and just thinking that was the coolest thing ever. And like, would just be like, I'm going to light this stick on fire. And then I did.
Did you ever do like
I
the
did set a
hairspray
girl's hair on
thing where
fire
you can
once,
like
too.
What?
spray
Wait,
hairspray?
what? Excuse
and,
me.
like-
John, can you say that again, please?
No, I mean, it's nothing.
Usually, whatever.
No, I did. Yeah, no, I accidentally, one of my friends, like I had a lighter and I don't know, she said something. I like kind of flicked it and I didn't realize quite how like dry her hair was. And, there's a little,
Wow.
I've been hairspray.
it's,
Is that
There
a
is-
felony?
there
Do you have
is-
warrants?
There's
you know,
nothing.
it's past the statute of limitations by this point. I was 15, like whatever.
There's nothing worse than that smell.
Mm-hmm.
Just real bad.
I did have a Halloween party once where I set out a bunch of small tea lights, and I guess this guy like leaned into it and he had sprayed his hair with like, that temporary coloring spray for his
Mhm.
Halloween costume, and it
Ooh,
caught on fire a little bit. And I was like, no, 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 and we
God.
checked it out. But
Yeah, there were a lot of parties too as a teenager where like things happen with fire, like people just being very irresponsible around fire. Like it's amazing. Nothing real bad happened.
Yeah.
But-
I once leaned into a car to take a bong rip because I'm classy and managed to, I don't know how I did it, but I burnt all of my eyelashes and half my eyebrow off.
Ooh.
And when you're
Ooh.
15, that is a bummer. That is a bummer to have
I think
no
when you're
eyelashes.
any age, that's
Man.
a bummer.
Like
Yeah, but I
15
know
in
what
high
you mean.
school,
Yeah, there's no sympathy happening, like no empathy when you're in high school.
Did you draw them on? Like,
I mean, I did, but I was 15, so I didn't know how to do it, and it was pre-YouTube because I'm old, and it was a little Picasso-esque. Let's just say.
mine are drawn on right now. I have like no eyebrows. So.
Oh, mine are natural. Yeah.
Fire. I like it. Well, we're learning a lot about people on BGH this week. Caitlin, I said I might want to synopsize if the movie was interesting, but then it wasn't. Would you like to synopsize?
It would be an honor. Thank you. So Firestarter, based on the Stephen King novel. We had a 1984 version starring Drew Barrymore, and now Firestarter 2022 is a Blumhouse joint, directed by Keith Thomas, and stars Ryan Kira Armstrong as Charlie and Zac Efron as her dad. There are two main characters, and Charlie is 11, I think, here. She has pyrokinesis, and her parents each have their own sort of psychic powers that they got while doing a paid experimental trial in college that was supposed to open up their pineal gland or something. Anyway, they ended up with powers, and now the shop rather, wants to find Charlie in particular to weaponize her pyrokinesis, and Dad and Charlie are on the run.
That's right. And struggling
this-
to make facial expressions.
Now that you mention it, I was giving him a lot of credit because I feel like he
he's
just seems
fun.
like a nice guy.
He does seem like a nice guy, and I do like him. Yeah.
But
he's
yeah,
not-
we'll get into it, but not a lot of
you know what he's
tender
good
father
in? You know what
daughter.
he's good in? Neighbors. Isn't that the name
Okay.
of that movie
Yeah.
where he's like in a,
Is that
in
the
a
frat one?
frat? Yeah, it's
Mhm.
like a it's comedy. Shelton, you haven't been on a while. What do you think of this year movie?
Oh, what did I think? Yeah, it's not very good. It's pretty bad. It's a poor movie. Um, yeah, it's kind of a boring thing. Like the original Firestarter is one of those movies I've seen like a million times. Back in the day, I think my uncle like taped it off HBO or something. So that was one of like the 3 VHSs we had in my house. So I've seen the original a million times.
Interesting.
Um, and it's the original one's not a great movie. It's towards the bottom of like that era of Stephen King movies, but it's like it's fine. It's watchable. It's got like a good cast. It's entertaining. This movie is not.
Was I right that I saw Heather Locklear in that trailer?
Yep.
that I
Yeah,
watched
she's the
earlier?
mom.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, no, it's a wild. Art Carney is in it. Like
A
Keith
young
George C.
David.
Scott.
Drew Barrymore.
David Keith. David Keith is in it. Not Keith David. But yeah, this movie, I don't know. Like it takes everything interesting about this. I've never read the book. That's one of the few Stephen King books of that time that I haven't read. But the movie just kind of sands off any interesting edges. It's very straightforward. Like the original, the first movie starts with them on the run, and then you get flashbacks to like, okay, why do they have these powers? Who are they running from? All that, which makes it a lot more interesting. This starts with her as a baby, and she makes the thing catch fire, and then it just goes.
Yeah, that would
so
be
linear.
that would be a better way to jump
Everything
into
is
it.
just what you'd expect. Yeah, so not a great one.
You know what else I saw on Peacock is there's like Firestarter, the second generation or something. Like, what is that? Is that a movie or a show?
I think it's a show.
Yeah, there was a sci-fi thing.
Oh,
That,
interesting.
it was the lady from Wet Hot American Summer,
Right.
but it was supposed to be like a
Oh,
sequel. I think it was
yeah.
like a pilot, which
Yes.
is not like that's one of the weird things about this movie is because it seems like this movie feels like a pilot for a TV show, and
totally.
I can't believe this isn't a show on streaming because it's kind of a superhero thing. It's Stephen King. It's you got the bad guys, the shop, and then the
Yeah, you got a built-in
kids with powers.
You got a built-in old school like renegade style show where it's like every week
Yeah.
you arrive in a new town and then by the end you've been figured out and you got to escape.
Yeah.
You got
It's kind of
procedural.
strange that they made this a movie.
Love it, Ariel. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty much the same way. I was actually really looking forward to this movie because the original Firestarter was like a sleepover staple. So I too have seen it a million times. And yeah, it's not an excellent movie, but I think it's really entertaining and the cast is great. Everybody has a personality. In this movie, no one has a personality. And I think that's its biggest fault. It's just so boring. There's no good like action scenes really. And yeah, everybody's just so bland milquetoast that it's just not that interesting to watch. And I even think the ending is kind of done in a boring way. But like Caitlin was referencing, I think the worst part of it is the father-daughter relationship. In the original, there's so much bonding between the two of them, and you really see this like sweetness there. And in this movie, it's completely absent. I mean, I won't get into the spoiler part of it yet, but even when bad things happen, it doesn't seem like either of them really care about each other. They're just like, whatever.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Rachel.
I mean, yeah, I largely agree with what John and Ariel said. I think this movie is very odd because it's like there's two movies here. It's not aggressively terrible, and I think if it had been a made-for-TV movie, back in the heyday of Stephen King made-for-TV movies, it would be middling, right? Not terrible, not great, but it got a theatrical release, which is wild to me because everything about this thing feels super low budget except for the score, which I don't know if we've talked about the score yet, is incredible. John Carpenter is for some reason doing the score of this movie, and that's really great. And but then it's like even the cast feels like very lifted from TV. I don't know. It's a strange thing. I think there are some valid criticisms that we'll definitely get into, I'm sure, but I think like Ariel said, that this thing basically pivots around this relationship between the father and daughter. And when we don't have any emotional investment in that relationship, like even the stuff that doesn't work, if that was like poignant and powerful, I think it'd be easy to forgive it because you would care what happens. And here, because you don't, nothing really matters. I think it has some fun gore, which is great, and I think there are a couple of performances in this that we can get into that are pretty decent, but it's just kind of flop energy. It's just not a lot there.
Floppy energy, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Caitlin, what'd you think?
When I watched this without having seen the original, and I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And then I went back and watched the original, and I was like, okay, this one was pretty bad. The tenderness between father and daughter just isn't really there in this one. And like everyone said, everyone's just kind of boring. There isn't a lot of fire behind the eyes, if you will. There's just like not a lot happening. I do love like a good burn it all down type of moment. I have a print in my bathroom actually that says burn it all down. So I appreciate those aspects of this, but that's surprisingly not a big part of it. It does feel like an X-Men movie to me. Like I had mentioned that over email, and then I don't know if it was John or Eric, somebody said that it's like, kind of like how we got Wolverine's like sort of backstory. This is like the pyrokinesis backstory for X-Men. It just, I don't know. It could have been better. I feel like the dialogue was really bad, especially, what's the captain's name again? Hollister?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, her dialogue was really bad.
Terrible.
No motivation.
She wasn't very good either. Like the delivery.
She
itself
wasn't.
great.
I was really disappointed in that because I feel like that's set to be like a supervillain. And all we know is that she's bad because she's like, are you ready to get back on the bullshit, Rainbird? Or like something like really shitty dialogue. And
Yeah.
it's just pretty
Gospel
cringe.
buster.
Score was great. And, like I said, I do like a good burn it all down moment. But the dialogue was pretty cringe, especially the liar, liar, pants on fire. The delivery of that, like that kid can't help that that's bad writing.
It's a terrible line. There was also the moment where they're at that old man's house and the agents come and they put those contacts in. And,
oh God. Oh God.
and
Oh
they
God.
say like, nice try, freak. We're wearing protection. I'm like, oh my God. Who wrote this?
Yeah.
I forgot
Like
about the
Spy
contacts.
Kids level dialogue.
Has anyone
you
here
know?
read the
Hey,
book?
don't malign Spy Kids.
Well, no, I mean, I like this original Spy Kids, but I'm just saying it doesn't match a horror movie.
no, you're right.
Has
It's
anyone?
Halloween Kills level dialogue is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
The weird
dun,
thing is
dun,
that I
dun.
actually like this director, Keith Thomas. He did The Vigil last year,
Mhm.
and that's a really good Jewish possession movie that has so much tension and it's really artfully done. And I don't see any of that, like thumbprint here or fingerprint.
No, it's like, man, it's hard for me when I watch a movie like this not to project all of my opinions of modern movie making on it. Like,
Here we go.
Lay it on.
I'm gonna generalize.
You have a podcast, dude.
I
Lay it
feel
on
like
us.
you can feel when you get a movie that it's like, this is a person that loves horror movies and all they've ever wanted to do is make a horror movie, and they're putting so much love into every frame of it. And then you can feel the people that are like, this person came up through like some kind of studio situation, and now this is a job, and they're just doing the job, and they're putting the camera in the place, and they're like, it feels like content in the worst way, like in a just very assembly line, bland. I think Ariel, you said milk toast. That's a good one. Somebody used to work with told me that word once. I didn't know what that meant. And like in a way that feels like cynical. Like, how are you making a movie? How are you making a Stephen King adaptation and like doing this? There's a moment in the beginning where he's having a dream. It's actually the only real flash in the movie of like anything kind of creative where they're doing something visually kind of creative with this dream vision that he's having of his daughter like blowing shit up or whatever. But the movie itself is like aggressively bland, like in a way that's like hard not to notice while you're watching it. It's also like unintentionally funny at times. There's a scene in the first few minutes where, you can just rapid info dumps and from the parents, they're talking to each other about how they have powers and like their kid inherited these powers. And then I don't, God, so much I've already blanked out. But basically they've been like, she did something at school. So now they're afraid that like they're going to be on their trail because of what happened. They're fucking hysterical yelling at this girl. They're like, the bad man is going to fight us and they're going to kill us and like blah, blah. And like they're hysterical. And then she starts getting upset and getting fiery. And they are then admonishing her like how you can't get upset, but they're doing it in a way like they don't understand why she's upset when they're just fully telling her we're gonna die. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's just hilarious hearing like Zac Efron in particular yelling like telling her to calm down. You have to be calm, like while he's just like completely hysterical. If there are any highlights for me, I didn't look up her name, but the young actress who's in the takes on the Drew Barrymore role from the original is really good, and I think she probably puts in the best performance of this movie. She's doing some real, I think, significant emoting through a script that doesn't pack much of a punch in that sense, and like she's doing more with the dialogue than anyone else. So I enjoyed her performance a lot, and it's just absolutely bonkers and surreal to hear this like very rich, moody modern John Carpenter score behind this fucking movie. It's like
It's so
Makes no
like
sense.
distinctly John Carpenter too. Like there's no
Yeah,
mistaking
it's strange.
who it
And I
is.
like-
it sounds good.
Yeah, I
It's,
mean,
it's
right.
really good, but it's just really
No, you can
random.
tell they knew what they had because like they pump the score. There are scenes where they're just like, let's just let the score
Yep.
play for a little bit. There are
Well-
some times when like the score drowns out the dialogue, and
For the best.
You know, they're like, this is it. This is what we
This
like
is
want.
fine, yeah.
I listened to the Halloween 2018 and the Halloween Kills scores like fairly regularly, like similar instruments, motifs, like you hear it, like to what you guys are saying, like you very much hear it. And I like to think that he was just making it being like, boy, this is a fucking hot piece of shit, but whatever. Did the check clear? Cool, let's do this.
Yeah, I feel like
Um,
when you're like
He's gonna get
trying
back to
to
Xbox.
like cite an article, but you don't want to cite it to exactly. So like when you're writing a paper, you just like change it
And
a little
it's-
bit because it had a lot of notes from the Halloween.
It's funny too because there is a similarity. Yeah, it's funny because you can buy this on vinyl from Waxwork, and like I almost did when I saw it because it's just a new John Carpenter album, and like I was like, okay, I'll see the movie first. I mean, I still would consider it because the score itself is great, but
It's a good score.
it's just
yeah.
funny to think of like I don't know. It's
I'm
like
gonna get
buying,
you one signed by Efron.
it's like buying the score signed by Zac. That'd be like hardcore trolling. Not John Carpenter. Here's Zac
no,
Efron.
no, no, I'm signed by Zac Efron.
But it's like it would be the equivalent of like buying a score of like a TV movie or something. But somebody brought that up, right? Like there was this era of Stephen King TV movies that this probably fits much better.
Yeah.
I mean, the production value alone.
Yeah. There were some
Mhm.
bad CGI moments in this movie
Yes.
too, which
Yeah.
was also confusing because it seemed like they would have put a lot of money into this if it's a theatrical release, John Carpenter score. Where did the money go? I don't understand.
Yeah,
Well-
I
Zac
can't
Efron.
believe you can go to a theater and buy a ticket right now and watch that. I
Yeah.
can't imagine watching that
I know.
in a theater because the movie feels like it was made so that you only have to look at it like once every like 3 minutes, and you can
Ariel's-
still follow it fine. Like,
I'd like to
it's
think
made it. You can just fold your laundry. My laundry was folding itself like during this movie. It was so made for.
it's a
screen.
new investigative podcast by Ariel called Firestarter. Where did the money go?
Listen, Zac Efron animatronics do not come cheap,
That's
okay?
true.
Animatronics.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
know?
it's a small world after all version of Zac.
Exactly.
Do you
Queen
know?
Bono, Ariel wants to know.
Do you-
Where did the money go?
Do you know how many servos it takes to power Zac Efron's face? That shit
Okay,
adds up. Yeah.
Three
Met-
whole servos.
Metal's expensive right now. Inflation, you know.
And he still didn't emote.
Supply
What
chain.
happened? Who was controlling his face?
The scene where she kills a cat, or like she severely injures a
that
cat, and
CG
he's
is
like,
awful.
"Well, put it out of its misery." And I'm like, "That's all we get?" from
Yeah,
you?"
there's
Like,
not a lot of weight put on the cat murder, which I thought was
No.
interesting.
Well, they have this whole like he's like, you've got to put it out of its misery, and they have this like 5-minute conversation as the cat is like, "Rah!" and then finally she steps forward to like put it out of its misery. But like meanwhile, this cat has just been suffering while he's telling her the cat's suffering. You've got this is the price you have to pay.
the subtitle
It
said
seemed like
like
an unnecessary
yowling.
scene.
I was like,
Yeah.
no.
I also had
It's
some
like
trouble.
cat yowling suffering in the
I had some
subtitles.
trouble like with
Well, he's having like a father moment. Like
some of the laws of the universe are unclear. Like I had a little trouble sussing out exactly what Zac Efron's powers entailed.
well, he can like push people.
He can
And I
mind
mostly know
control
this from
you,
the first
essentially.
movie, but yeah, he can
Yeah.
because you see the scene early on, which is kind of cool. Like this, I think they could have got more into. His job was like he was helping a lady quit smoking because he could basically like tell her like don't smoke, and then his
Yeah.
eyes bleed a little bit, and then she stops. But yeah, kind of underused and not really
And then
explained very
wakes
well.
up and is like, "Hey, are your eyes bleeding? Are you okay?"
And the worst like CGI blood too.
Oh, it's
It's like, come on,
terrible.
just like put some little
And
drops.
I know. How
like,
hard is that?
the original was a nosebleed, which I feel like is more, it feels more correct somehow in this like fake
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
psyops universe. But the whole like eyes bleeding, I don't know. I don't know if they made that decision to make it more horror-y, but it looked pretty bad.
Are
Yeah.
the beats in this one, the main beats, the same as the first movie?
Not really.
Not really. Yeah,
This
no.
is the
it's
first
pretty
one.
different.
Caitlin, correct me if I'm wrong because it's been a while since I've seen it, but there's like a whole section where both the father and daughter are at the shop and they're being tested and
That's what I remember.
people are manipulating them.
That's what I remember.
So there's a lot
She
more
just
like
goes John
intense.
Wick instead. It's
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot more intense stuff with the government agents and Captain Hollister where it's
And
just a more
Rainbird.
tense movie in Rayburn. Yeah, exactly.
It's like a full quarter
And-
of the original is what they're like
Okay.
getting. You know, she's got
Yeah,
her own
that's
room
what I
with like
thought.
video games, and they're like,
Right.
"Come on, just do it for us. It'll be good. You can see your dad."
Right, I
Yeah.
remember.
Here
right.
they're just like, "She will come for him."
I've
And it's like,
seen what I
okay.
have seen like absorbed through pop culture of like that movie being on TV is them being in a place where they're being held captive in like tests and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big part of the original
Yeah,
movie.
that's
and
like
I
the
think
whole
it
third
those
act.
Yeah.
scenes-
Almost like
yeah, I think that part
ET
works really well.
Almost like
It
ET
also starts
style or
in
something.
media res, so there isn't like that kind of dull build up at the beginning when mom's
Yep.
still alive, and we have like all the emotional investment in the mother-daughter relationship. Instead, it starts off they're already on the run, so there's like a sense of urgency to the original that is
Yeah.
just not in
You
this
know what
one.
this is? This is like the LaCroix version of Logan.
Oh, yeah.
Like just a
Oh,
Yeah,
faint
I can
taste
see
Same.
of like
X-Men
that a bit.
vibes.
it's very
Yeah.
I mean, that's the fascinating thing about it, right? These types of stories are so ubiquitous now and have been
Mhm.
done inside Marvel, outside of Marvel, and like this came before all that. I mean, not the comics, obviously, but like it's fascinating to think of it in that way to see this now and just how familiar it is. Like it really
yeah, the
feels
novel
like
probably. I would have to imagine influenced the X-Men to some degree. But like Midnight Special, like that movie came out 5 years ago, did the exact same story way better. I don't know. I
Frozen.
don't know.
This
Why
is
Like
not?
dark
it-
Frozen.
it feels
Yeah.
like like a launch of like an MCU series on Netflix. Like it has that level of
does.
sort of action.
Mhm.
Although some of those
Yeah.
have more action than this thing does, honestly. Like
This thing does not have enough action. I mean, in the original, I know that in the scene where the agents come to the old man's house, I mean, Charlie just lights shit on fire. She
Mhm.
blows up cars, sets a bunch of
Raises.
agents on
Yeah.
fire. Yeah, there's so much of that. And the fire looks cool because it's obviously not CGI. But it's just so much flatter here and so small compared to
I
that.
was-
And because you get the testing scenes later, you also get to see just how intense her power is. And I think as a little
Yeah.
kid, that was really cool, just seeing a little girl who had power that was like bigger than adults could control, you know?
Yeah, there's no sense of danger around Charlie
No.
in this one.
No.
And you kind of, in the original, you kind of feel like, oh, she could go off because you
Yes.
see her get angry and set other people on fire, kind of regularly. Whereas in this one, there's no, you never really feel like Charlie's going to lose control, even when she's losing control.
Yeah.
And we only get like a very short montage of her in the woods practicing by herself, and she's like,
Mhm.
"Okay, Dad," and like says what he says, and like it's like lighting sticks on fire, and it's just I don't know. It's just not as robust. I don't know, and
Flop. The word
Yeah,
you're looking for is
a
flop.
flop, yeah.
it's got like a
I
floppy
do
energy
kinda
to
like
it.
the pivot to broody Charlie. I mean, I really do like Drew Barrymore as Charlie because she's very sweet and very cute, and
Mhm.
that's juxtaposed with her being like this like fire demon kid. But I kind of liked broody Charlie, and I think like Eric said, the actress did a good job.
Mhm.
The dialogue they gave her wasn't great though, and
Yeah,
I just
that's
like the
the
scene in
problem.
the lab at school or where dodgeball, whatever it is. I'm like, this is pretty weak.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the dialogue is just so bad and so boring throughout this whole thing. I mean, I get what you guys are saying about her being broody and intense, and that makes it a little more interesting. She's a little bit older, I think, in this one than Drew Barrymore was. But Drew Barrymore went from she's like this very sweet, loving little girl, but she's also a badass and really
Mhm.
tough and stands up for herself against adults and tells them basically to go to hell.
She does. She said, "You bastard!"
Okay.
I gotta watch it today. And she's like, "Here's a good like
Yeah,
punchy
that's what
little."
I mean. Like, she's really spunky and fiery and has so much personality. And I just think the dialogue really let this young actor down, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it seems to kind of flirt with these ideas about like because it changes, right? The original one, you definitely feel like a love between the two, and it almost feels like this one is trying to explore these ideas of like paternalistic suppression of his daughter, as opposed to
Yeah.
like being protective, but and like it hints at ideas around like fear about women's power, but it never really delivers on it. And it's a shame because I do think that in this story there is like a really interesting feminist narrative that goes totally unexplored about like the
Monstrous.
fear of establishment of women's powers outside of their sexuality in ways that is like not palatable and for them.
I mean,
And
also not. I mean, it's extremely timely. That kind of a message.
Sure.
yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah, but you're
Thank
totally
you.
right. They bring stuff up and then they just let it drop. Even when Charlie tells her dad that she intended to set him on fire and not her
Mhm.
mom, like there's something there, but then they never go anywhere with it.
Right.
I
And in the
was-
original, it's her father that really wants to train her as opposed to the
Yes.
mother. And so I
Mhm.
feel like they had some intentions around this and they never really went there. And then ultimately what you end up is losing that kind of good for her energy that the
Mhm.
original one has when she
Yep.
finally has that like cathartic let's go. And this one, it almost like judges her for her power and it's about her not becoming a bad person instead of like embracing her power.
Interesting.
No,
Well,
man.
also,
I don't know. I don't
At
like
the
it.
end, the dad uses his push to get her to do
Right.
what he wants, which is I don't like that change because in the
No.
original, Charlie like is like, okay, let's
Mhm.
fucking go, and lights it up. And in this one, I guess she's like, I
Yeah,
don't
she
want to
has
hurt
no
anybody.
agency.
Yeah, she doesn't have
Yeah,
No
any
he pushes
agency.
her, and
Yeah.
then she just loses her shit. So, like,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that moment when he's dying, nobody feels anything. Like there's no sadness there. When I watched A Quiet Place for the first time, I was like in tears, like falling down my face, sobbing. I was so sad. In this movie, nothing. I felt nothing about that death.
Yeah, that's actually a great example of like a parent-child relationship that's used very well for like
Yeah.
Mhm.
suspense and
Yeah.
emotion and stuff. You know, feelings. Feelings.
John, you had
was-
mentioned about Rainbird in the email. I thought that I wanted to have you
Yeah.
talk about that a little bit.
that is one, and really one of the only, like, well, I guess the original's not that great, so you can remake it, but one of the step ups of this movie is that there's this character named Rainbird who's like kind of a bounty hunter who works for the shop, and he's a Native American. And the original movie is played by George C. Scott, who is very much not a Native American.
He
And
does have a ponytail though.
That's
so-
true.
Well,
Same thing,
true.
right?
That is,
They were like,
that is
got
true.
it, nailed
Can't
it.
deny that. So at least they got an actual Native American actor, and he's pretty good. They
Mhm.
changed the roll up. It's really kind of, the ending I found kind of weird. I don't know if we want to
Yeah.
get too much
Yeah.
into that, but I was like, that's not the way the story ends. But okay,
I mean, it's another. Are we talking about spoilers? I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, we can
I
spoil.
kind of already
Does
spoiled
anybody-
part of it.
Okay,
Sorry.
but I mean, I think it underscores this idea of her lack of agency, that the movie ends with him, instead of her like going to the newspaper to tell her stories, she's like passed out in his arms.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Flop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Floppy.
And in
flop,
this one, there's not even any bonding time between them, where it doesn't even really make that much sense for
No,
her
it made
to
no sense at
accept
all. It
his
came out of
hand.
nowhere.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like,
he
we
like
get
bows in front of
his-
her, and
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. We get his reverence for her power, but he also still killed her mom. Like,
Yeah.
there's just, I don't know. I kind of see what they were doing, where he like, he like awaits his judgment from her, and she spares him, and like, that's kind of cool. But I don't really understand. I don't know if they're like setting it up so that we might have a series or something like that, where like they're together and he's training. I don't know, because
I
he
would
has
bet
power in this one.
100% that was the intention.
Well,
What is
doesn't he
his
have a
power
power?
in this
Like
one?
he
Yeah,
can
but what is
hear
it?
the mom. The mom's trying to
Oh,
read
that's
his
right.
mind, and like she like throws the lamp at him using her mind, and he's like, "You're rusty." Like just like.
Okay, I think he's supposed to be part of the same experiment that the parents were in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's like this idea that they tested on Native Americans first,
Yeah.
which is an interesting idea, right?
the
Like,
Tuskegee
again,
Airmen
yeah.
thing.
but then the
Yeah.
writing of
They
him
didn't,
is
you know.
so like problematic and tropey and. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Weird
Yeah,
ending.
Stephen-
It's just not good. This is a bad movie.
Yeah, Stephen
I'm
King
sorry.
not great at writing people of color. But
you know, his heart's in the
I,
right place, but sometimes
I was disappointed
Right.
that she didn't kill that dude at the end
Yeah.
because
I wanted to see fire.
he was responsible for the death of her mother. Like I understand
Yeah.
he lets her live, but then the real, I mean, she should have just murdered him. Like that's what should have happened.
Agreed.
But
Well,
again,
and Drew
and
Barrymore
again,
has like fireballs, like straight up Mario style, and it's like, oh, we could have
but that
fireballs.
also brings some of that nuance and darkness to the character that we're talking about. Sort of like that's why I feel like that should have been what happened. But
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a cool beach there too. I was like, oh, there's a beach here.
well, you guys
That's
just
nice.
had a much more intelligent conversation about this movie than I think I was capable of. Was there anything else about it that?
It was funny seeing Clarence Boddicker show up in this for like 1 second. It made me feel like something definitely ended up on the cutting room floor, and it
Mhm.
was a total
That
missed
was so
opportunity
weird.
for him not to be like state of the art, bang bang.
It's a
about Charlie.
very tight like 90 minutes, but I don't know how it couldn't be because like nothing. I mean, not much happens. Like
Yeah.
Well, I thought he was going to be like the primary bad guy instead of
Yeah.
what's her name?
it's
Because
like
he's so much like he was having, if he were in the movie more, it would be way more fun because he was having fun with it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
just
he
going,
was having a
like,
good
off the
time.
He
wall.
was chewing scenery,
Yeah.
and like, what was he doing? Like, he was like emptying little pixie sticks or some shit. What was he
Mhm,
doing?
into different colored piles. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
But that
he-
was, I was like, interesting. I would love to see more of
He
this.
was
Like,
good.
Yeah.
he was. Yeah, I
Is it
liked
weird
him.
like OCD?
I
or
forgot I
something?
It
saw
kind
him.
of seemed like it. Yeah.
Was he in the
something
Yeah.
like
Was
that.
he in the original? Okay, I don't know.
don't think
I didn't know if
so.
that was like a thing that they were like.
I double
"Oh,
checked
look at
because
this
I was
guy."
like, oh,
Well, they treated it like it was a reveal. Like he like
Yeah.
turned to the camera, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, here we go.
Well, and he's
And
old
then,
enough that he
bye.
totally could have been. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, red? Oh my God. And then I was like, oh, nothing.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
it. Okay.
It was weird. It really did seem like a setup for something that they were going to do, and they just never went back to it, which is a recurring problem in this movie. It's whoever wrote this script is, well, I know who wrote the script, but they did a terrible job.
You did
It's
bad.
a
and you
bad
should feel
script.
bad. is
Not
what
someone that
Ariel was
writes
saying.
women very well. I can tell you
No.
that much.
No.
Oh boy. All right. Would you recommend this, John?
Who, me? No.
Ariel.
No,
Ariel.
absolutely not.
Ariel.
No, watch the original. Skip
Ra-
it.
Rachel.
By the record, keep it moving.
Caitlin.
I would say watch both because I'm going to do like a comparison episode on Plug It Up.
Oh, okay. I look forward to that.
Changing my answer.
Dude.
Download that plugin that lets you watch it at 2.5, like
No,
2.5
not
speed.
yet. Listen, man, the doomsday clock is ticking ever closer to midnight. So like, you got better shit to do, man. Like literally anything than watch this movie. You could better get to that
That
bucket
was
list.
dark.
Better get to that
Bleak, Eric.
bucket list soon, son. Is all I'm saying. All right, let's take a quick break and do some fan mail.
Okay.
Scream. For the movie Rolling Stone magazine calls a delicious blend of fun and fright that's smashingly scary.
It was funny. It was exciting.
It's a scream, baby.
The whole thing was fun.
Never say, I'll be right back.
I'll be right back.
Sensational, terrific entertainment, says the LA Times.
Scream is sexy.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs and laughing hysterically all at the same time.
Scream.
This is great. You have to see it.
Rated R. Now playing.
Hi there, I'm Judith O'Day from George Romero's original Night of the Living Dead, and you're listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send feedback to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or on Twitter using hashtag AskBGH. Join Patreon to get back episodes and much more. Patreon.com/bloodygoodhorror.
And we're back.
Is this one making it on your top 10 list, Eric?
Fuck no. And for comparison, I put something on there as a joke at number 10. What
You
was
put
that?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre
That movie
at 10.
sucked. You know what though? The Texas Chainsaw Massacre had that scene on that bus, and that was cool. That was way cooler than anything that happened in Firestarter.
Yeah, I didn't like that movie at all, but I liked it way better than this.
Yes, true. Facts. John.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what's going on at bloodygoodhorror.com.
Oh boy, we're reviewing movies. We're doing all kinds of stuff. We've just posted a couple of new reviews. We've got coverage coming up next month, about a month from now, of the Chattanooga Film Festival. So if you want to check that out, the tickets are on sale right now. It's all virtual. It's a ton of fun. A lot of people in Slack have done it the last couple of years. So we'll be covering as much of that as we can. Looking forward to that. So yeah,
love it. Rachel and Ariel, you guys can fight for who's going to tell me about the zombie girls.
It's going to be a battle of the bottoms. Go for it, Ariel.
I love how you had to say it that way, Rachel.
You don't call me Daddy Rachel for nothing.
I don't think you can be daddy and be a bottom. I'm just saying.
That's true.
I don't think it works that
Power
way.
bottom.
Certainly
There
can.
you go. So you can find us on our website, zombiegirls.com, and it's GRRLZ on Twitter and Instagram. We're ZG Podcasts, and we post a ton of stuff on there all the time. So come check it out. All of our podcasts are streaming anywhere you can get podcasts. Recently, Caitlin actually came on More Deadly with me and Matilda to fill in for Rachel, who was away for a little while. And that was really great. We reviewed Shapeless, so you can check that out too.
Very nice. Love it. Caitlin, what's going on? And plug it up.
Rocking and rolling, episodes come out every Tuesday. Next week is a controversial pick. I'm very excited. I recorded with our friend Mary this week and gonna get it edited and loaded up for Tuesday. But it's one I'll spill it here. But we're reviewing Dead Girl from 2008.
Oh shit!
Oh whoa!
Which is controversial and
fun with
feminist
that.
circles. So
Yes.
we had a good
Rachel, didn't
conversation.
we cover that a million years ago?
Yeah, we did a double feature of that and Grace. It was
Oh,
a
yeah.
rough week.
What is Grace? I don't remember that one.
That's the zombie baby one / breast milk fetish
I've not seen that.
with all the like PETA footage, and it was a rough week, man. When Dead Girl was the uplifter, it was a rough week.
But that'll be interesting to hear you guys talk about on Plug It Up.
Thanks. Yeah, we had a good time with it. So I'm
Love it.
excited.
Caitlin, you got Twitter tonight?
I do.
Let's do it.
We've got 2 tweets. First from Schnecky91. They say, I am sure that like me, you guys watched horror movies at probably too young of an age. What age do you think someone should be introduced to the horror genre?
I don't know, dude. I don't have an answer to this.
Fetus.
Put it on the uterus, little headphones.
I mean,
I don't know. I started showing my niece horror movies around 8 years old. That seemed to be a sweet spot. Although I occasionally got in trouble with her parents for showing her stuff that was possibly inappropriate. So, tread lightly, I guess.
My whole family is really into horror, like my extended family and my cousins. And my cousin Robbie at the time, Owen was 4. And one time I was sitting with Owen and he was like looking out into the distance while he was eating. He was looking at the woods. And I was like, what you thinking about, bud? He was like, Pennywise lives out there. And I was like, the fuck are you talking about? So like, he knew about Pennywise. One of my other cousin's kids was trying to think of the name Samara from The Ring and he kept calling her Serena. So like, it's a part of their little life as a child. And I love it. I think it's great.
yeah. I mean, we all watched them too early, and now we're podcasters for the sake of the medium. Young. Get them young.
Yeah, I was a latchkey kid in the 80s. Like, if you can figure out how to watch it, then, go for it.
I think I've told this story before, but I saw. I had a friend whose parents didn't really pay attention to what we did. We watched Total Recall there when I was probably 9 or 10 or something, and that was
nice.
That was a mind fuck. I think that same summer we watched Pumpkinhead. I think was another one.
Nice.
Dope.
So I don't
Solid
know.
selections.
And now I'm here. So what are you gonna do? I don't know.
Yeah, a success story.
Yeah, started at trauma, now we're here.
Yeah.
That sounds like the world's saddest rap song.
Well, we've got a returning tweeter, COW Flanagan, and I might need help
Wow.
deciphering
Caitlin,
this.
you I don't know if you're giving that the weight it deserves.
COW Flanagan.
He's been gone for so long.
Rap horn.
His completely nonsensical / offensive tweets have been gone for so long.
Yeah, this is written in a style that I'm not going to do per his writing. So this is my interpretation of the tweet. Yo, it would have been tight if Drew Barrymore cameoed as the Firestarter's Nana in the mid-credits scene. Did anyone stick around for that? She could say, yo, stand back, patriarchy, because this granny is too hot. They got to pump that IP. Am I right, Schnars?
I really love someone about my age being called granny. It makes me feel really good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I was like doing the math and I'm like, surely like not.
My feelings are hurt at all.
Right?
Nope.
That's
Feeling
really
real
good.
good about it.
Also,
if I didn't do your tweet justice, I apologize, but I was confused. What's this IP thing at the end mean?
I think
for
he's
Schnars?
saying like building out like a universe or like a franchise.
Intellectual property.
We all
I don't think it's happening with this movie.
we all, I believe, I wonder if he was in the theater because we all watched on Peacock, and if you do that, at least on my account, it takes your ass right to the next thing. Like,
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
do you want to watch some bullshit that you're
Like-
not interested in?
So
And I'm
mine
like,
went.
Don't enjoy the score.
You're like, I already
let's
did
just
that.
go straight to like, some.
Mine
that was
queued
on
up.
Peacock.
Mine queued up what it called the trailer for the original. It was just a scene where they're in the kitchen, and I'm like, this looks like some trash. Like it's not. I was not impressed.
I didn't stick around.
And then
Is there a nanny?
And then it cut to a scene from the Firestarter, that whatever that TV show was. So
Peacock said,
Weird.
give me all the Firestarter property.
here you go. You into this? What about this? Caitlin, I've been laughing all week about your description of your TikTok algorithm being get back into bed, you depressed gay bitch. Like I just keep
Yes,
randomly
well.
I keep randomly thinking about it and it makes me smile. So
Oh, thank you. But that's it for tweets.
Oh.
And unless anyone has any info on this Nana scene mid credits, we'll have to look it up.
Yes, Nana. We got people came out on Instagram. I guess I actually timed it right this week. So here we are. First up, Ballerina Susie. I can't express enough how much I love Ryan Kiera Armstrong over Drew Barrymore. I mean I haven't seen the original, but I did like her a lot in this.
Damn.
She was good.
Like,
but those are strong
listen,
words.
Drew
Yeah.
Barrymore is Drew Barrymore a good actress? Just gonna put that out there. Like she's got a thing. Like I don't know if I would call her good on it, especially as a kid. Like, have you seen Babes in Toyland?
Okay, well, we disagree about that movie because I like that movie a lot.
Oh, I was obsessed with
For
it as a
Eric, it was
kid.
like a fever dream.
I was obsessed with it as a kid, and then because it was like Shelton, it was like one of the VHS we like had in our house was a taped copy of this, and then they had me do it on Thor's, and it's just the most insane fever dream horseshit nonsense you could ever imagine. It's so terrible, and it's like 2 hours long.
I think that Drew Barrymore is good in the original. I mean, she's really, really young, and she does a good job with what I imagine is like, that's a lot for a kid to take on. And there is like some character growth and development, and she goes from like, you know, sweet as pie little dimples to like intensely, like intense face burning everything down. So, I mean, I like both. I do. But to your question, Eric, I think she's, I don't know if I like later Drew Barrymore stuff, but
I like
this is good.
her in
I
Scream.
really liked her in Santa Clarita.
I do
Oh,
like
yeah, she was
that.
great in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like what's the one about the never been kissed. Is that what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Mhm.
when she
I
goes
think I
back
just
to
don't
high
like that
school.
movie.
No, thank you.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
That's fair.
She's good in Scream.
I don't know. I think she's almost always
is good in
enjoyable to
Scream.
watch. So
Yeah.
Charlie's Angels, y'all.
It's true.
Fair.
This is a really good one that I have some thoughts on. What dish or side dish do you bring to a general house potluck party?
Ooh.
Oh.
I make a mean charcuterie. So
Yeah, very nice.
I got the board. I got all the cheese knives.
My answer is it's either potato salad or deviled eggs, and that is twofold.
Oh, those are both good.
One, I make them really well. And 2, most people fuck them up, and it's offensive to me when people screw up mayonnaise-based dishes. So like, it's got to be done
This
right.
is our culture. Like,
It's
get
got
it
to be done
together.
right. So my ass is gonna do it. Like, I had my relatives in Florida used to make deviled eggs with fucking Miracle Whip, and I wanted to like burn their house
Ew.
down every time I was there.
That would be sweet.
Yeah,
No,
it's
that's
not
wrong.
good. It's not good.
Absolutely.
I feel like one thing that my family does a lot is take like crescent roll dough and like bake it out flat, and then put like an herbed cream cheese on top, and then sprinkle like chopped raw vegetables. And we call it veggie pizza, but it's just like a.
That sounds
it's good. Little squares of like cream cheese, herby, vegetable-y. I'm like, oh, this is so healthy.
So many herbs.
Yeah.
Tasty.
Anyone
I make
else?
a strawberry picnic cake that's really good. I bring that places sometimes.
That sounds pretty good.
sounds good.
What's in that?
Then why have I never had it?
I don't know. I'll have to make it the next time I
What's
come for
a
a
what makes it
visit.
a picnic cake?
A picnic cake is one that doesn't have frosting, so you can like eat it with your hands.
Interesting.
You know, you can just like cut it up.
Ah.
It's usually baked square or round.
Is there any Jello in it? Because I've seen some strawberry cakes. that have
No,
Jello.
Controversial shapes
It's
for
like
cake.
it's a
Square or
cake,
round.
and then you bake strawberries on the top that have sugar on top, so they turn into jam
Oh,
in the
so
oven.
it's almost
kind
like
of.
a
Oh, God,
coffee
that sounds
cake
good.
situation or something like that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I like cakes without icing, so that's up my alley.
Shelton, you cook a lot. What's your answer?
I think you can't go wrong with queso. Queso
Oh,
or
that's
like a
true.
nice like homemade salsa. Any kind of dip.
You
Really.
do live in Texas. If you show up without queso to a party in Texas, do they allow you in?
Well, there'll be like 7 other quesos. But if you put like brisket in the queso, then yeah.
Oh,
then you get a little
man.
extra points.
I used to
Jesus, how do we get
go-
invited to these parties?
Friends of mine used to have a yearly chili cook-off. That was like, it wasn't a huge thing. It was informal, but there'd be like 20 maybe. And like, man, you just like load up on some like chili and cheese and stuff and go around the. I can't do that anymore, clearly, because I have a bottle of Pepto-Bismol next to me. But and then eventually got so big, like the original people who did it kind of ended up transitioning out of it, but it was pretty sweet.
I went to one of those one time and like campaigned on the sly. So I was like, vote for my vegetarian chili, and I got 3rd place. It was not good, but because I campaigned, I got some votes.
Nice.
Well, like one year, so this one friend of mine, his brother worked at a butcher, and so one year he totally just he upended everyone by coming with like the traditional chili, which is just meat and sauce, like steak, like sliced up
Texas
and stuff.
style, yeah.
Yeah, and it blew everybody out of the water, and then so everybody trying to do that. It's a whole saga.
because beans are gross.
I'm into beans. I like me some beans.
In Texas,
great.
people are offended if you put beans in chili.
Interesting.
It's weird, yeah.
I always put, like, if I'm getting a burrito or something, I always do black beans. And then somebody told me that was an East Coast thing specifically. But
Really?
yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. You can get a mission burrito with black beans
Yeah,
in it.
interesting.
So
Next up, Kaylin, do you want me to read your response to the?
Yes, because now that you've said it, I can't stop.
I made a
thinking
crack
it.
about Zac Efron's face in the Instagram post, and then Plug It Up Pod wrote, "Wait, he got surgery? Tell me everything, please. This is Caitlin. Is this weird to ask her?" And
I wanted to know.
I shared it and called her out.
He does look particularly. Yeah. Now I'm just not
Refreshed.
going to be able to unsee it. Yes. Yes.
I don't know.
He went
I
to
think
that-
maybe I just wasn't looking at his face because like
It's all
the
I could
dude
look
was
at.
vascular in this
He
movie.
is.
Like
He is
the
vascular.
one scene where he gets out of bed and it's like that dude is way too ripped to be like a dad. Like
well,
he's
maybe
just, like,
his
he
widening
looks
jaw
dehydrated.
isn't plastic surgery, but it's like a Mark McGuire steroid situation. Where
Well,
your bottom is
do
just-
you know specifically what makes your skull bigger is HGH.
Oh,
That's true.
Specifically does that. That's like what happened to Barry Bonds.
Joe Rogan.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Should only major blockbusters be shown at a theater and the lesser movies all be streaming day of?
No.
I want it all, honestly. Like, fuck this shit. Theaters.
I love everything streaming, and also I love theaters, but like
Yeah,
I
me too.
love streaming.
I'm conflicted specifically because of this show, right? Because like I do understand why there's controversy about it. But at the same time, when I don't have to go to a theater to watch something like Firestarter, I'm a much happier person.
Convenience.
Yeah,
Well, it
this
can't beat
should
it.
not be in theaters at all.
Right, like seeing X in the theater was a great experience. I'm so glad I saw that on the big screen. But I would have
100%.
probably been pissed if I had left the house and spent money to see this on the
Like
big screen.
about 2 years ago, Schnars and I kind of we sat down and had a conversation about just like keeping the show going, and that was a big thing. Was like everyone kind of agreed we probably need to go to the theater less, and then the pandemic happened, and then we couldn't go to the theater at all. But it's funny, like kind of not too long after that, like everything changed, so it made it easier to get.
Yeah.
So you manifested it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Yes, I manifested a global pandemic so I could go to the theater less.
I will say I am making it a point to go see Men in theaters because I want to see it soon, and the only way to do that is to go to the theater. So I'm excited about that too. Not just for the movie, but it's been a while since I've been to the theater, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. I mean, the theater experience is special for certain types of things, but like I would like to have everything be day and date too, because as a house cat, I would like to stay home as much as
Same.
possible.
We were just talking about this, Caitlin and Matilda and I last week, about how we're indoor people.
Hell yeah.
Would you like to join our group?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Awesome.
do you guys need a treasurer, a secretary? What? What do I sign up?
No, that's the beauty of it. We don't really do anything, so we don't need a treasurer.
Even better.
Yeah.
I'll bring
Eric,
the
I saw a
charcuterie.
tweet that was like, why does everyone on their dating profile lie about liking hiking? And I was like, Eric gets it.
Yeah, I do.
I like
do.
hiking.
Lies.
There's nothing wrong with
do
that.
like it.
Lies
There's
of
nothing.
another-
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I was specifically railing against people that won't leave people alone who just want to be inside. Like, let me live my life.
No, that's weird.
Yeah, I can see the outside from. It's right there. I can see it right now.
Yeah, I've got a
We
great
have,
view
these
of the
we have this magical technology called glass.
I can crack my windows. Amazing. All right. Next up from Merle Hughes. That was him. Next up, Fat Duck. How many times did you sing the Prodigy song while watching? I actually forgot about it until he said it. There you go. Right behind Shelton here in the video.
R.I.P.
Next up from Brian. Did they miss out on a Burger King flame broiled sandwich tie-in? Probably. Yeah, they don't do stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Firestarter Whopper, I could see that.
Yeah.
What goes on the Firestarter Whopper?
jalapenos, baby.
Yeah.
Flamin' hot
Good
Cheetos.
call.
Flamin' hot
Oh,
Cheetos.
yeah, that would be amazing.
Oh, but like
Firestarter
the
Flamin'
cheese
Hot
is a
Cheeto
flamin'
Whopper.
hot Cheeto cheese.
Mm.
I do like the Impossible.
But they don't put
Whopper.
any salt or seasoning at all on it. So it's
Yes.
just completely, it tastes like cardboard.
You know what I used to love as my favorite burger? My
Oh,
favorite,
God. I got there.
wow.
Took me a minute, but I got there.
my absolute favorite Burger King thing when I was a kid, which is just disgusting when I think about it now, was when they would come out. It was seasonal, or it would be every once in a while, with the Italian chicken sandwich, and Burger King had that like elongated chicken puck thing that they would like put on. It was just pure salt.
Oh, like the fake ass chicken parm.
Salt and
yeah.
bread.
I
And
don't
yeah, it was fake
remember
ass
that.
chicken parm. Yeah. Well, because they always had the chicken sandwich. There was that same piece of fake ass, like weird chicken. But then every once in a while, as a promotion, they'd be like, you could get the French one, which just had like Swiss cheese on it, or the Italian one, or maybe, and then there was like another option or whatever. So they didn't have it all the time, but that was my go-to.
That's a quality select.
I liked their chicken tender situations, or chicken
Like
nugget.
the Burger King marinara.
Yeah, I like their chicken nugget things better than like McDonald's back in the day.
They were shaped like little like,
Yeah.
like the caterpillar things in the desert in like the original Mario that
Kinda
you
like
like
little,
shoot at.
little turds.
It's kind of shaped like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's
little
that's
turds.
another way to describe it.
Naturally occurring shape in a chicken.
It has like a little snowman vibe.
Their chicken nugget things.
No recollection of
Whatever
this.
those were called. What were they called? I don't remember what they were called. It's Burger King, man. Is Paulie Muller, is 2022 another hot girl summer? I say no, and here's why. Hot girl summer was a very special set of circumstances when for like a moment we all felt this magical thing called hope. We were all newly vaccinated, riding that immunity wave, flying around on planes, walking around naked, going to clubs. Like none of us were doing that. But my point is, it was the mixture of summer with the sudden freedom and hope of the vaccine that gave us hot girl summer. And then the universe took that away from us. And so we could have some other type of hot summer situation, but it will never be that again.
Hot mess summer. Yeah. That's my vibe.
There you go. I don't like summer. I'm just like, it's not my vibe. I don't like sweating. I already have a heat rash. It's just not for me. So like hot girl winter.
Hot girl. Cool girl winter. Next up.
You're so cute, Caitlin. I can't with you.
Joe says, "Is this the worst movie that John Carpenter has ever scored? ? If not, which one is?" I mean, I would rank Halloween Kills above this, which is
Village of the Damned is pretty bad.
Now, did he score that?
What about? Did he score
He did, yeah.
the Ghosts of Mars movie?
That was my thought. Was Ghosts of Mars probably would be.
Ghosts of Mars.
But Ghosts of Mars, at least at this point, has nostalgia / kitsch factor to it.
That's
yeah,
fair.
it's like a fun
It's
watch.
fun, at least.
This
to
movie
watch.
isn't even goofy enough to ever be kitschy or
No.
campy or anything.
Yeah.
That's what I'm missing.
Village of the Damned.
That's what I'm missing from modern movies. I feel like.
Is that
when-
really bad? I haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Same. Yeah.
I think I remember hearing it was like pretty bad.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
remember it
thing-
being pretty
Really,
bad.
the thing missing with modern movies is that when they miss, they're just kind of boring.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
you
Right.
really,
So then there's no fun rewatchability.
You really
to it.
miss
It's not
those
like
just god
camp
awful,
or over the
half-assed-
top or
I
weird.
can't
enough.
imagine ever watching Firestarter 2022 again,
No.
No.
Oh my God,
or
no.
why anybody would do that, unless you had a lot of laundry to fold or something. I don't know.
Unless you're like, I'm gonna be so hyped about this Plug It Up episode. And
Or
Yeah. Oh, right,
it's
yeah.
Like, well, I've got to rewatch it for the sake of Plug It Up.
now you've seen it once. You're good.
Still wait. This is from MP Rezia. Still waiting on your favorite rotoscoped movie answer. I thought we gave answers last week. Shelton, do you have a favorite rotoscoped movie?
Favorite rotoscope movie? I mean, yeah, it'd have to be probably some of the Ralph Bakshi stuff.
And who?
Although some of I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen those. so
What
maybe
is
not.
what is
Oh
that
no,
stuff?
Waking Life is
Yeah.
like a great one.
We brought that up.
And there's a
last-
new one. There's he's got Richard Linklater has a new one that's on Netflix now
Oh,
about the Apollo program or something.
okay.
It looks
Yeah.
pretty good.
Now, did you see The Spine of Night? That's what we did last week.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Very pretty. Didn't understand a goddamn bit of it, but it looked cool.
It did. Look
Yeah, it
cool.
was kind of like watching somebody like play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, in real
just
time.
kind of like, it looked cool, but like it's like, is there a plot to this, or is just cool stuff happening?
Interesting.
It's fine. It's pretty.
Second half of this question. Now, what about favorite Stephen King remake? I presume he's talking about movies that were once a Stephen King movie that then got remade, and not just like favorite adaptation.
Mm.
So you're talking
Carrie.
this,
It.
It.
Oh, it's got to be
It.
it.
Yeah.
Part 1, anyways.
Yeah.
Oh, I think part 2. I liked part 2 better.
What?
Ooh, hot take.
You liked weird baby it
I
better
had
than the first one?
I had part 2 as mine, if not my number 1 that year, like pretty close.
Oh, I don't remember
In fact,
that.
I think part 2 is much better than part 1.
Eric
I
is
am
shocking.
Crazy talk, but,
I am the
Confirms
person.
Yeah.
The Shining.
Lost his mind.
Definitely the Shining remake.
No, I've got a good one.
Just kidding.
If I didn't know what to, I didn't know how to respond, because there are people.
I was
No.
waiting.
There's a faction out there that wants
Yeah,
to.
I know, and they're wrong.
That wants
Sorry.
to rewrite the history of the
It's
Shining
Stephen
TV
King.
remake.
That's the whole faction. It's just him.
Right. A faction of one.
That's like the bane of modern like film discussion on Twitter, though, is that people just get bored and they're like, "What dumbass movie can I say is over or underrated?" and write a fucking think piece about. And it's like I've definitely seen them on that
Oh, but it has
Shining.
the topiary animals.
yeah.
I was thinking,
No,
I was
there's-
like,
there's-
Julianne.
Topiary animals aren't even good in the book.
It
I don't
also
know
it
why
also
you would
has
want
the,
them in the movie.
it also has the brother from Wings on it, and the most annoying kid actor from the 90s.
That's what I was waiting to hear you say.
I hate him.
I know.
Sorry, Shelton.
Yeah, no, there's a really cool one that we were just talking about the Chattanooga Film Festival. It's actually screening there. It's it'll probably never be really released because of what it is. But this like animator took the Langoliers miniseries and like photocopied individual frames of it and then like animated the Xerox like black and white things. And there's like all these like paper rips and it crumbles up. And he like basically took the whole miniseries, edited it down to like, it's like a little over an hour, and it's fucking great. It improves,
awesome.
it makes it really, really good. I've never seen like an animation style like this.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's really cool. It's called The Timekeepers of Eternity, I think.
Incredible.
Yeah, I've talked before about how he used to rent the double VHS of that all the time and make people watch it. Which is hilarious. I didn't think maybe I saw it on TV. I'm not sure, but I feel like maybe I just was like, I rented it one day or something.
Yeah.
What a world.
I'm a Langoliers head, so.
What a world. Take me back. Take me back. That one in particular, I could only get at this one. It was like, it would have been like 4th on my list of video stores I went to if I just happened to be in that part of town, like I would go to. It was in a strip mall. I bought a bunch of their like shit when they went out of business.
Yeah. I remember that hustle where you like had 4 different cards because you didn't, the other 3 had late charges.
You can't go there. It's fine. Can't go to Video Magic.
Yeah. Classic Video was out for a long time.
John's pictures on the wall, like, do not serve.
I lost Captain Ron. We can never go back there again.
Man, that was like the one job that I wanted so bad. But by the time I was like job age, they were still around, but they were starting to go. And it was at the point where like if you owned an independent one, you couldn't afford to pay anyone. So it was just like the owner was there all the time, like they didn't need help. And or was that or work at for around me it was Hollywood Video, which honestly just looked like the lamest corporate bullshit ever. So I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Was Hollywood Video the one that cut all the movies? Like it was like some
There were edited versions of those movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you going to say religious purposes? Is that?
Yeah. Because I know there were definitely like a handful of movies I saw later, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
This was not what I thought.
But then they would do like later in their life before they went obsolete, like they would just they started doing like uncut versions of things, but it was after I think it was downhill.
Too little, too late.
I remember the last time I remember renting from Hollywood Video was probably 2008. And there's one where I was living in Florida, and I remember like doing the whole like Friday night, going to get a movie, and even then it felt like crazy antiquated.
This is the good old days of the video store that had like the beaded curtain in the back that you weren't allowed to go through.
Yeah.
That's a video store.
So there's one like in the like I'm in the burbs, but in the city near me, there's one, if you Google, you find this place and it's like video store. And then I went there once and it was all porn, like porn, anime porn, no beaded. You just walk in, it's just bam, like wall to wall VHS and DVD porn. And then like
that is quite literally a subplot on Parks and Rec.
And like 2 probably non-working arcade machines just kind of sitting in the middle of one of the walls, like for sale.
There's somebody very sad living in a basement right now. That their company went under.
All right.
Have you seen that there's like going to be a new like The Last Blockbuster series on Netflix, which feels a little like feeding a chicken nugget? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That is really weird.
I mean, how has
like dancing on that grave
with all the nostalgia, how has there never been like a mom and pop video store like sitcom or something?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Blockbusters sucked. Like when Blockbuster was run, everybody hated Blockbuster, and now like there's this like nostalgia just because they're gone. But like, you know, they came in and put out all the
because if you think about it though, there was an era where Hollywood and Blockbuster existed and nothing else did. So if your adolescence kind of fell right in that time, like I have a certain amount of nostalgia. I hated it at the time too, but now I have a certain amount of nostalgia for it just because, well, now it's all gone. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's at least somewhat of that. You know, in 99, 2000, I was going into that Hollywood Video and discovering stuff like Ginger Snaps and like Cube and stuff like that. So even though they had you know, I get it, I guess, on some level, but if you're going to go for the nostalgia, like go all the way back, dude. Like it used to be better.
Yeah.
We went to this place
Old
called
man corner.
We went to this place called Mr.
Caitlin is suspiciously quiet during this conversation.
I've been trying to remember
personally.
the name of. It finally came to me. Movie Time was ours. So
yes,
we went to this place called Mr. Video that had a wall of. It was a corkboard wall, and the way that you rented their Nintendo games was they had little hooks with just little like
little
tags
yeah.
on them that just had the handwritten name of the game. So you were just sight unseen. It was like, and this led to me renting shit that I would recognize. Like if it was like licensed or
Oh, they
something.
didn't even put the box out. They just had the
nothing.
It was just the name.
So it would be like Adventure
Oh,
Island.
wow.
I used to rent that all the time. If that game sucks,
I own that game. It's terrible.
Oh my god! But I would rent it like all
It
the
was like the
time because
worst
I'm like,
Christmas
well,
ever
I
when
know
I-
this game, and this other thing is just a word. Like I don't know what this is. So, but
I remember-
I have deep nostalgia for that corkboard wall full of tags.
I remember getting to the age where like I played video games growing up, but not. I mean, like I don't know, tapped out at like GameCube or something like that. But there was like a divergence where I was like, I'm renting all horror. My brother was getting a movie and a game, and I was like, I should be getting 2 movies then. I think like we're gonna keep this equal. And he was renting, so
Because feminism.
yeah, I was like 2 movies: Amityville Dollhouse and Amityville whatever the fuck was there. I feel like I went through the A's and was like, okay, Amityville.
So
That
many.
is a dark.
Dollhouse is rough.
They haven't gotten better.
I used to
I
rent.
rewatched the Ryan Reynolds one a few weeks ago with a friend of mine as like a text along, watch along,
It's
and
not great.
I mean it's pretty bad.
You know what one I
but-
used to rent all the
existed.
time is, I want to say it's 3 or 4, but it's where like 2 couples move in to renovate it, and one of them ends up just going berserk and like killing everybody. But it's like pretty gory. Kind of like
Sounds Amityville
Yeah.
esque. Dollhouse has a weird scene where a stepmom is like giving Pornhub vibes to the stepson, and I was just like,
Gross.
I remember being like, this is not.
Well, there's the
what I signed
second.
up for.
There's like some hardcore like incest in the second one, I think, where it's like a huge plot point of like
Wow.
teenage
I wonder if I've ever
kids.
seen
Sound
anything with the first
familiar.
one.
It's
As
wild,
you're
dude.
saying
It
it.
was last winter they were playing it on. I had seen it when I was younger, but they were playing on Shutter TV like on a loop last winter. I watched it like once or twice. They're bad, but they're. But
One
again,
of our co-hosts on the Zombie Girls has made the terrible decision of trying to watch every Amityville film, and the last one she watched was Amityville Vibrator, which made for great content for
It
us.
did. It was
but
very
I
fun.
saw the
her wife
poster
is
for
pretty
that.
pissed off.
Oh yeah, her wife is not happy about this, especially because we keep sending every time we see a new Amityville has come out, we send it to her, and her wife's
Amityville
just
in
like,
the hood.
"Stop it!"
But a good example
Gotta do
though,
it.
a good example though, that era of movies when it went wrong, it went gloriously wrong. So like at least there
That's
was
true.
that kind of value.
That
to
is
it.
true.
Is it a porn parody or is that a like legitimate?
That can't be a.
I mean, it
Yeah.
is a parody, but I feel like it's a little bit of a gray area considering where the franchise has gone. Like, there isn't a lot of siloing between parody and actual movie anymore. Yeah.
I just remember looking at Ryan Reynolds and being like, that dude is probably so dehydrated. Like they want him like cut. And I'm
So
like,
cut.
He's so dehydrated. Give
So
him
cut.
the Gatorade.
Give that man a LaCroix.
I know. All right, everyone. It is time. Now it's been our episode on Firestarter. Hope you enjoyed. We will be back next week with something. Not sure yet, but we'll let you know. Thank you to all of our guests tonight. And we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
So long.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.